Good afternoon. Thanks so much for joining us. We start with this. Authorities in Oregon are still trying to determine a motive behind yesterday's deadly shooting at a community college campus. At least 9 people were killed and 7 others injured before the suspect was also shot and killed. Wendy Woolfolk has the latest.
It's happened again.
We heard this popping sound, and at first we thought it was engine backfiring.
Instead, those sounds were gunshots, this time at Umpqua Community College in southern Oregon, leaving 10 people dead and 9 others injured.
Taking shots with him. He's in the classroom.
Autumn Vicari's brother was in the room with the shooter.
And all my brother could focus on was, please don't kill me, I have a family.
According to her brother, Vicari says the gunman asked people their religion before he started shooting.
If they were Christian, they were shot in the head. But if they stated other or didn't answer, they were shot in the leg.
Authorities have identified the shooter as 26-year-old Chris Harper Mercer. 10 minutes after the first call of shots fired, Mercer was killed in a shootout with police.
We need to stop glorifying the act that the shooter did. We need to stop glorifying the name.
With the same anger and unprecedented emotion, President Obama called these massacres commonplace in our country.
The reporting is routine. My response here at this podium ends up being routine. The conversation in the aftermath of it, we've become numb to this.
But this is far from routine for the gunman's father.
Shocked. Shocked is all I can say.
That same shock and devastation has left yet another community to heal. Wendy Woolfolk, NBC News, Roseburg, Oregon.
One person is still in critical condition at this hour. 2 others have been upgraded to stable. 1 might even be released from the hospital today. Well, there was tighter security on Del Mar's East Campus yesterday, but not because of the shooting in Oregon. Police went to the campus after a 26-year-old student reported her ex-boyfriend had threatened to shoot her and others at the school. The suspect even reportedly sent the woman a text message that showed him on campus. Police arrested the ex-boyfriend, 23-year-old Bobby Caceres Jr., for making terroristic threats. He also had an outstanding warrant out of San Patricio County for violating his probation on a narcotics case. Another transaction set up through Craigslist went very badly for the seller last night. Of all places, it happened in a church parking lot on Cliff Moss near SPID around 7:45. Police say the victim was supposed to meet a man to sell an electronic device, but then another guy showed up, pepper sprayed the victim, then took his 2014 black Ford Mustang as well as his phone. Officers found the car at the Walmart near Greenwood and the alleged thief at a home in Portland. The suspect, 32-year-old Joe Patrick Martinez, was positively ID'd by the victim. He faces charges of aggravated robbery. The second suspect hasn't been identified. Hurricane Joaquin has blasted the Bahamas, but where will it go next? Meteorologist Maclovio Perez joins us with the latest. Mac.
Well, thank you, Rachel. First, we start with this photograph. See if you can make it out. It's from the balcony of a house, and these are the Bahama Islands. You can see the raging hurricane through that area, and it's now been like this for 24 hours. We have had very little information come out of the islands because the conditions are so bad. The hurricane, still at a Category 4, has weakened somewhat, and it looks like it's now beginning its northward turn. But all of the central Bahamas are under hurricane conditions even as we speak, and many of the central islands have been battered now for over a day with these high winds. Now the storm, the good news, if there is any, is that it is now picking a track that's more offshore. It looks like the East Coast will be spared. It is not a pretty day on the East Coast. They've had tremendous rainfall caused by the interaction of the front and the storm, and we have more on that coming in this special report from Kerry Sanders.
Right now, it is a waiting game to get the assessment of damage from those islands that have already been hit. The small islands like Inagua that have a population of about 60 people, San Salvador, Crooked Island, all areas that have, before the hurricane hit, already experienced some problems because of the coastal flooding that preceded the arrival of Joaquin. Now, because of the power outages and the lack of communications, the authorities here in the Bahamas do not have any specific hard information on how the damage is. They expect, because this hurricane is moving so slowly, it could take a day or so before they actually get a full report on how bad it is. Now remember, Hurricane Joaquin's moving about 3 miles an hour, so it will take some time before it passes the Bahamian island chain, an island chain of 700 islands, 1,000 keys that cover 100,000 square miles. But because it's such a big area, not all islands will be hit, including where I am here in Nassau. There will be some bad weather here, but nothing like the hurricane that so many people have had to go through on those small islands. In the Bahamas, in Nassau, Kerry Sanders, NBC News.
11 people, including 6 American service members, were killed earlier today when a U.S. military plane crashed in Afghanistan. Air Force officials say an AC-130 transport plane they were in crashed at an airbase about 80 miles from the capital of Kabul. Now, the Taliban later claimed they shot the plane down, but Air Force officials dismissed the statement. The cause of the crash is still under investigation. 4 airmen from Dice Air Force Base in Abilene were among those killed. Prosecutors have decided not to seek the death penalty against the woman charged in the murder of a convenience store owner. That was Ben Mustafa. Prosecutors made the announcement during a hearing for Del Victorio Cavazos this morning. The judge set her trial for mid-November. She was one of 3 people arrested for Mustafa's murder last year. Her boyfriend, Daniel Garcia, is serving a life sentence for his part in the crime. Meanwhile, the 3rd co-defendant, Arturo Navarro, is still awaiting trial. Fire investigators are trying to find out why a high-end inflatable boat went up in flames this morning. The Zodiac boat was in the water under a Padre Isles neighborhood boat deck when it started burning. It didn't take long to get the fire out, but the pricey piece of marine equipment was a total loss. The fire also damaged a nearby sailboat. And the cause of the fire is still a mystery because there wasn't gasoline in the Zodiac boat. A data breach at credit reporting agency Experian has exposed personal information of about 15 million T-Mobile customers. Experian says T-Mobile users who applied between September 1st of 2013 and September 16th of this year may have had their info stolen. The stolen data includes social security numbers, home addresses, birth dates, and other personal information. T-Mobile uses Experian to check the credit of consumers applying for phone plans and financing for devices. The company is offering free credit monitoring for 2 years to anyone who may have been affected. Well, listen up, lovebirds. Your cell phone could be putting a damper on your love life. According to a recent survey, people in relationships don't like being phubbed by their partner. Apparently, phubbing is the term used when people use or get distracted by cell phones while they're in their partner's company. 23% of those surveyed say phubbing created conflicts in their relationships. Maclovio, we don't have any phubbing issues, do we, during the show?
I'm sorry, you were saying something?
Sir,
Oh.
we're going to need to check that forecast now that
yes,
you've told us all
I'm
about
sorry.
Joaquin. We want to see what our weekend weather is shaping up to be.
Hold on a second. Let me get this. Yes,
It's
folks,
over.
very pleasant weekend in store for the Coastal Bend. We're looking for lots of sunshine, dry air rolling in, and you couldn't ask for a nicer weekend. We'll also be talking about the latest and where the path is of Joaquin coming up in a moment.
All right, thank you, young man. Put that cell phone away. Coming up on Chris 6 News at noon, was there really a meeting between the Pope and Kim Davis last week? The Vatican issues a statement to clear the air.